Hello friends, my name is Matt and welcome to The Joy of Nerding. Today's episode was suggested by a friend of mine, Michael. He and I were talking about my replacing my Radeon 6900 XT with a RTX 5070 Ti. And he said, well, I have a 3070 and it would be great to replace that, but I'm kind of intimidated by doing it. I said, oh, it's no big deal. And I went to send him a tutorial on how to do it, and I couldn't really find a good one. So hence this video. I aim it to be short but comprehensive, and it shows you how to change your video card to a similar one but newer generation. There are a few caveats to this, however, in that I verified that his power supply should be able to support it, and I checked the connectors on the 3070 and they should be compatible with the 5070 via an adapter cable. Your mileage may vary. You need to make sure that you have a powerful enough power supply, and you need to check that you have the right connectors, and you need to make sure that you have enough physical space in your case. I checked his against his existing board setup, and it should be very drop-in and easy for him. I did the same thing for myself. It was very drop-in and easy for me. So you probably want to make sure to do your research before you go plopping down a pile of money on a new video card. And without further ado, here's how you do it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is make sure to turn off the power, but that's up out of frame. And I'd have to move the camera to see it because this is a really tall case. Second thing, you can pull the door off. And now we should get a nice good shot of that video card. For starters, we can remove this amateurish video card support, although I reserve the right to install another one because I'm not sure that the professional video card support that comes with this is actually tall enough, but we'll find out. Now you may ask, why are we cutting off the power using the hard rocker switch? And the answer is because there's still standby power flowing through the motherboard. You don't want to be messing with things when that is the case, right? You can still short things out if you're not careful. You want to not do that because that would be bad. If you don't have a rocker switch on your power supply, you can just unplug it. Again, you have to worry about ESD stuff, so we need to touch the case whenever we are doing things. Okay, move the camera in slightly closer. Hopefully make it a little easier to see. So for starters, you undo these power connectors. They've got a little clip on them here. So you've got to make sure to push this clip down in order to unlatch it when you pull it out. If you just pull it, you can break the clip, and if it's not clipped in properly, that would be bad. The next thing is to undo the screws, which the hex drivers can be helpful. And screws are over here. You can kind of see them. They're just regular Phillips head screws, but they can also be gotten with a hex driver. Now, as I've mentioned before, this one has blue tack on it because that makes it easiest to get in. Oh, and of course, that's the wrong one. That's just an empty backer plate. Silly me. Now, it's just the video card, so it's easiest to not have to unplug anything, but you still have to unplug HDMI. Unless you're using DisplayPort, right? In which point you'd unplug that. There's no way to take the video card out without having to unplug whatever your monitor feed is, or monitor feeds are if you're running a multiple monitor system. So make sure to collect your screws, right? Okay. Now, the other thing that you need to do is, as I mentioned in another video, you need to make sure to push the PCI lever. And that is something that can trip you up massively if you are not careful, and you can rip them off to the point that you can still, people sell them apparently on Amazon because they're standard-ish things. You can kind of see in this lower one here, you can see it, right? You can flip it towards you. You can flip it away from you. In order to get the card out, you want it pushed away from you. So you gotta line it up, and you can sort of barely see it on the motherboard right here, and you give it a push. You can use a screwdriver. These are surgical forceps for grabbing screws. So give this a nice push, and you should hear it click once it's free. Especially with these enormous video cards, it's not easy. That should have been it. And there, it's free. See? There we go. Now that we're free, I mean, we're just kind of hanging by this support zip tie, and we can do that. There we go. So, our motherboard is in good shape here. See, this is the offending little flippy, and so that should be good, right? This is the bit that you want. We want it left in this down position so that when you put the card in, it holds there. All right, now, new card comes with Velcro tie, which is nice, but not strictly necessary. This new card support bracket, which looks a little short, but it can extend. Look at that. And now, yeah, that might be tall enough. And very important, the pigtail. So this is going to adapt these to the new 12 volt high power 16 pin connector that these new fangled NVIDIA cards use. This is the one that came from Asus, so we're going to assume it's good. I've heard issues with these melting, but only on the more powerful cards, like the 5090s, 4090s, etc. This is a 5070, shouldn't have that issue. So plug these in. Should hear the connector snap in securely. If it doesn't, you either need to buy a new one because you've broken this connector. Another option is you can make sure it's fully seated and then use electrical tape. That should hold it. All right, you might wonder what I did with the other video card. I put it on the floor, which is not the best thing from electrostatic discharge perspective, but it's not super dry, so we'll probably be all right. And this new card comes wrapped in a ton of plastic. It is enormous, but importantly, it is the same length as the old one, slightly shorter, actually. So I'm going to peel the protective plastic off of this thing. I think that's everything. Remove protective film before use. Thanks for that tip. And I have this on performance mode, BIOS switch. There is a little switch right here that says P mode and Q mode. I have it on P mode, and if that's too noisy, I can set it to Q mode. There is some connectors on the back here that go for the fan shroud. Oh, I missed some more plastic on the back this time. All right, so this goes in where the other one was. I'm trying to not touch the fans too much because I don't want to break them. But you can slot this right in the old spot. And just go slowly, don't force anything. Did they have pin connectors on this? Oh yeah, you gotta remove this piece. There's a little pin cover on it. Oh, here we go. See, it was covering this. That's why it wouldn't go in the slot. I was too busy removing the plastic film. You might wonder why I'm contorting myself. It's because I don't want to unplug everything. So, slide that in just like that. We should hear a snap. That was it. We are now nicely seated in the motherboard slot. And you can give it a little tug and you'll feel the board come with you. You don't want to pull it too much because you don't want to damage anything. Yeah, fits just like the old one did, see? Quite nicely. Let's get those screws in, but first, this has been sitting on the floor. Let's put that in the bag that we took the other one out of for safety. All right, let's put our screws in. Now I have this is not magnetic, it's just stuck in the hex head driver. And if you go in at an angle like this, you can kind of usually get it nice. I also like to make sure that's pushed up all the way, which it is. Again, you're worried a little bit about video card sag, but only a little bit. Get the second one. Make sure those holes are lined up. All right, now this support bracket is magnetic. So you put it wherever you want it, and they tell you to use the little thingy and push up the video card. I can put this like so. I think that's the plan. So we take this, stop, pull this up, and I keep dropping it. So I push this up. See, you want it level, right? You don't want it too far. In fact, you know, I'm going to push it just a little bit past that. Can I actually fit that there? No, I guess it's going to have to be on this side. You want to make sure you don't hit the fan. There's a nice ridged fan support there. So there we go. Instead of getting it on this button, I have it just next to this button, and the support is magnetic, so you want to make sure that it's nice and flat and square. Yeah, that won't go anywhere. You can lift it up if you need to, but you don't want upward pressure either. Next, and this is the tricksy bit, this cable fits in here, and you're not supposed to bend it, right? So, and when they say don't bend it, I assume they mean don't bend it really, really close. So this goes this way around, like so. I get a better cast in shadows no matter what I do. There we go. See, this goes in like this. And you push that in until it clips. Click. There we go. I could feel it because I had my finger on it. It's kind of hard to hear it. And this is where you get into the how much of a curve is good. There's some strain relief here. You're going to have to curve it at some point. And I'm going to assume that that's going to be okay. So now we put the door back on and fire it up. Here comes the door. As I hit the microphone, sorry microphone. Doesn't seem to be pressing on that cable that much. If you have a wider case, that'll be less of an issue. Two things: make sure to plug your HDMI cable back in, or DisplayPort, or whatever it is you're using, for one. And for two, make sure to flip that switch on the back. If you don't flip the switch on the back of the computer, you will wonder why it's not turning on. It's not turning on because you didn't flip the power switch, which it kind of works better when you do that. Hello friends, and here we are at the portion of the show where I recommend something to watch or listen to. You're probably not going to be watching a show while you're doing this, but maybe while you're installing drivers or waiting for something to update or something like that. Today's recommendation is the movie Hackers, which is totally unrealistic, but a heck of a lot of fun. It's a 1995 movie, comes out during the height of the computer security scares, has a bunch of young faces which you might recognize. We have Johnny Lee Miller, who went on to play Sherlock Holmes, Angelina Jolie, who needs very little introduction, Matthew Lillard, who has played a lot of different people. He was in Wing Commander, he was in Scream. My kids know him as the villain from Five Nights at Freddy's. Jesse Bradford's gone on to do a few other things, and then you get into other actors which are quite good, but I don't know that I've seen him in a lot. Fisher Stevens was in Short Circuit and has shown up in a few things. Penn Jillette is in there as well. So there's a few famous actors in there, and realistically, it is not a high concept movie. It is about a bunch of young kids who are computer hackers and are trying to help one of their friends who gets busted for doing computer crime across state lines, so that makes it a federal offense, and they are fighting back at the man and ruining people's lives in order to gain revenge for their friend and so forth. There's a subplot of a love story between Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie's characters, but again, it's not a deeply provocative movie or anything like that. It's just good fun. There's rollerblading and playing with computers and all kinds of stuff that, broadly speaking, does not make a ton of sense. But realistically, it was the 90s and people didn't realize how a lot of this stuff worked. The other thing is it's vastly more social, at least than I remember it being. It's sort of actual computer hacking crossed with scene kids, right? They go to clubs and hang out and have weird places, and it was always just us in our bedrooms or parents' basements with computer parts strewn all over the place. And realistically, well, what are we trying to do? We're trying to find BBSs that have games that we want to play. I mean, realistically, it was more like the beginning of war games than this, right? Where, hey, I got this number of this BBS, and so you go in and you make an account and you poke around and you see what's there. And some of my friends set up their own BBSs, and we would trade patches, because this was back before the internet was really big, right? Maybe you had internet access, but more likely you had a modem that you dialed into something like a Prodigy or a CompuServe, and it was a very walled garden. Even early AOL was like that. It was a gateway to the internet, but they had their own servers. And so it would be like dialing into Facebook these days, and you can't do anything else except Facebook. That's all you can do is what's on Facebook. And so we would set up our own BBSs mainly as file sharing sites, because you couldn't just go to a manufacturer's website and download something. And what you had to do was send them a letter, and then they would send you back a floppy disk with the patch for the game. Or you could go to a computer show, and there would be floppy disks with patches for games or demos for games or any of those types of things. So if you wanted the up-to-date version of XCOM, you would need to do this and then apply the patch. If you wanted the latest shareware game, I mean, Doom was huge. But when you're a kid growing up in suburbia in 1994, you're not getting Doom across the internet, because there's not really much in the way of the internet. You're getting it from your friends at school who, give me a floppy disk, I'll make you a copy of this shareware game. And you do that. And then if you like it, you go out to a physical store and buy the physical thing. The idea of Steam, when you just download lots of stuff, is just crazy, right? That's 20, 30 years in the future, where everybody's got broadband internet, so you can buy the game. And I mean, what was the latest Cyberpunk update? Something like 30 gigs. That's just crazy how far we've come from back in the way things were. Finding stuff, there was a huge information deficit. You couldn't just search it and get responses, let alone search it, get responses with an AI summary that gives you the high points of what you need to know with references. When the movie came out, I knew it wasn't realistic. It was just a lot of fun, right? Now it's a hard hit of nostalgia and still a lot of fun. Thank you for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, stay nerdy.